Sometimes, the problem isn't that you think too much. It's that you listen to every thought. This is the story of a boy, like many of us. He just wanted his mind to be quiet. Raghav was a bright student, curious, thoughtful, always full of questions. But lately, something had changed. He would sit in front of his books for hours, barely able to focus. His mind was constantly running in loops, jumping from one thought to the next. What if he failed? What if he wasn't smart enough? What would people say? The more he tried to quiet his thoughts, the louder they became. He started avoiding assignments, skipping group projects, even isolating himself from his closest friends. Not because he didn't care, because he cared too much. Every decision felt heavy. Every move was followed by doubt. One evening, as the sun faded behind the trees and the sky turned orange, Raghav sat by himself under the neem tree in the school courtyard. He stared at the falling leaves, feeling the same way, lost, uncertain, scattered. His teacher, Mr. Dev, had been watching him for days. Calmly, he walked over and sat beside Raghav without saying a word. There was a long pause, and then Mr. Dev quietly asked, "Raghav, have you ever tried to carry water in a sieve?" "A sieve?" he asked, not sure what his teacher meant. Mr. Dev nodded. "Yes, a sieve. The kind used in the kitchen to separate water from rice." Raghav stayed silent, listening. "If you try to hold water in a sieve," Mr. Dev continued, "no matter how fast you try to fill it, the water slips through. That's what happens when your mind is filled with too many thoughts. The important ones can't stay. They escape." Raghav looked down, thinking. It made sense. His thoughts were scattered. No focus, no clarity. Mr. Dev picked up a small twig and started drawing circles in the dirt. "Your mind is powerful, Raghav, but like a field, it can grow weeds if left untended. Thoughts will come and go. That's natural. But if you feed every single one, you will lose your peace." Raghav felt the words sink in. He had been trying to stop his thoughts, to fight them. But maybe, just maybe, that wasn't the way. Mr. Dev stood up slowly and said, "Come see me tomorrow morning. There's something I want to show you." And just like that, he walked away, leaving Raghav sitting beneath the tree, still confused, but now a little curious. The next morning, just after sunrise, Raghav arrived at the back of the school where the garden was. Mr. Dev was already there, watering a row of small plants. He gestured for Raghav to sit beside him. Without saying much, he handed Raghav a small pot and a tiny seed. "Plant this," he said softly. Raghav followed the instruction and pushed the seed gently into the soil. Mr. Dev poured a little water over it, then placed the pot in the sunlight. "You won't see anything today," Mr. Dev said. "Maybe not tomorrow either. But if you keep watering it daily, if you don't disturb it, one day, it will grow." Raghav watched the soil, still blank, still still. "Your mind is no different," Mr. Dev continued. "Each time you focus, breathe, and let go of what you don't need, you're planting discipline. You're creating space for clarity to grow." Raghav listened carefully. "You've been pouring your energy into every single thought, chasing all of them at once. But thoughts are endless. The more you chase, the more they multiply." He paused and looked directly at Raghav. "You don't need to stop thinking. You need to stop feeding every thought." Raghav lowered his eyes to the soil, his mind already quieter than the day before. For the next few days, Raghav returned to the garden each morning. He watered the soil, sat quietly beside it, and watched. Nothing changed on the surface, but something inside him had begun to shift. He started to understand what Mr. Dev meant. The urge to think, to control, to figure out every detail, was still there. But now, instead of following every thought, he let them pass. Some thoughts were loud, some were dark, but he didn't fight them. He simply observed. One day, as he was about to leave the garden, he noticed something. A small green shoot had broken through the soil. It was barely visible, but it was there, alive, growing. Mr. Dev walked over and stood beside him, smiling. "That's how the mind works," he said. "At first it's silent. Nothing seems to be happening. But with patience and the right attention, something real begins to grow." Raghav didn't say much. He didn't need to. The lesson was clear. He wasn't trying to silence his thoughts anymore. He was learning to choose what to nurture and what to let go. That evening, Raghav sat with his notebook open. But for the first time, it wasn't filled with messy thoughts or half-finished questions. He simply sat, breathing slowly, watching the words come to him. He wrote only what mattered. No racing thoughts. No pressure to finish everything at once. Just one task, one moment. Later that week, during a group discussion, Raghav didn't overthink what to say. He listened. He spoke when he had something to offer. And that was enough. People noticed. His friends saw the change in him. Calmer, more present, less anxious. It wasn't that his thoughts had vanished. They were still there. But now, he had learned to filter them. Like the sieve Mr. Dev once spoke of, he was no longer trying to carry the ocean in a basket. Mr. Dev, watching from a distance, simply nodded to himself. Growth didn't shout. It whispered. A few weeks later, Raghav returned to the neem tree where it had all begun. He sat in the same spot, the air just as quiet, the leaves moving gently in the wind. But something was different now. Not outside, but within him. His mind still thought. That hadn't changed. But he had stopped identifying with every thought. He had stopped chasing every what if, every imagined failure. Mr. Dev joined him once again, like before. No greetings, no lectures, just silence. After a while, Raghav turned and said softly, "I understand now. The mind isn't the enemy. It just needs direction." Mr. Dev smiled and replied, "When water flows without a path, it floods and destroys. But when guided, it gives life." Raghav nodded. He didn't need answers anymore. He had something better. Stillness, clarity, choice. And with that, they sat quietly together, under the fading light, without words, without noise, only peace.